Hello everyone, welcome back to AutoCraft. Today we're going to be doing something quite explosive. We're going to be working on a cobblestone farm that produces approximately 120,000 cobblestone per hour. The reason for this is we go through a lot of cobblestone for redstone stuff, so pistons and sticky pistons. We go through a lot of those and observers. And soon we're going to be working with projects that require a lot more cobblestone than we can currently achieve or get. So 120,000 cobblestone per hour should be fairly nice. My main problem is pistons, that's why we're making this farm. Now with pistons we've automated the production of iron, we've automated the production of wood, we have semi-automatic still requires some player input there, and we've technically automated the production of redstone for the witch farm along with the raid farm. But last but not least we need some cobblestone. In terms of observers, well, we haven't automated the production of, quartz yet, but that is fairly easy to do. So let's get started with this farm. I've already gathered some materials for today. Here's all the materials we need, along with some scaffolding and some additional things in my inventory. So what I'm planning is I want to put this somewhere inside the base, what I mean is inside the plains biome we have up here. Now, I haven't really picked out a location yet, so I should probably go and do that. We need to be careful since we're working with TNT for this project, so I don't want it close to any important structures. But you know what? It should be fine. So let's go and pick out a decent location and we can start construction. So I'm thinking we put the cobblestone farm around here. I want to make sure there's enough space for us to eventually do pathways between each of the farms in this area. Now, in terms of the size of this thing, the collection area is going to be a 13 by 13 area, and then above that the farm is going to extend out to the sides a little bit by a few blocks, not by much, so this should leave us plenty of space around this area. So first off we're going to be constructing the collection area, which I would have elevated it a bit off the ground, but then it's going to look a little bit silly, so what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to make it flush with the floor, and then we'll have the storage room underground because that's just a lot easier and it keeps the area nice and tidy. So we create the item collection area first, then what we're going to do is we're actually going to create the cobblestone generators. So we're basically going to have, I think it's like 4 generators in total, so 2 on either side. The stone that it's going to produce, because it's going to produce stone, then we're going to turn it into cobblestone by blowing it up. The stone is going to be pushed into the center by pistons, and then we're going to use a TNT duper to blow it up, and then it will collect in the middle. Now since it's nighttime I'm going to end the clip shortly, and I'm going to get the collection area constructed. Fairly simple, we've all seen this stuff before, and now we can start the actual cobblestone generator. So after a bit of thought I decided to elevate this above the ground after all, because then I don't need to clear out an area for the storage room or anything like that. So we have the 13 by 13 collection platform in place. We knocked out a block in the middle, placed a fence gate, opened it up, and now the items will be funneled down here. Now when you're putting in the water systems, make sure there's no dead spots. So what I did was I placed a water source in each of these corners here, and then I created infinite water sources all along here, starting from this block and ending at that block. I did it on all 4 sides, and what you want to make sure is don't do it in this block or this block, because that'll create an infinite water source here, and then it'll turn all of the water here into infinite sources, which would ruin the collection system. So make sure you do the water like that, make sure there's no dead spots. What you might want to do is throw some items in random places and see how they move through the system. And there you go, so let's go and collect that. There we go. Now what I did next was I'm starting planning out the actual cobblestone generators themselves, or stone generators I should say. We're generating stone, it's going to be blown up, turned into cobble, and there you go. So we came up 6 blocks, we're using scaffolding here, and then we came 6 blocks out, and there is where we're going to start making these generators. Should be a fairly quick and simple system. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build one of them, going to show you how it's done. We're then going to build the second one, and then we're going to get all of the redstone bits and pieces in place. Alright, so the first cobblestone generating module is in place, minus the lava. We're going to do that last. Now we're going to pop in a spectator mode so you can get a better look at this thing. So all it is it's 4 levels of pistons on top of the stone blocks that are going to be pushed from the previous level, along with a little bit of redstone. So if you want to follow along, that is where it started there. Feel free to pause whenever you are building stuff. This is the stone pattern you want to follow, along with pistons on the top. There are 7 pistons on each line, along with the redstone like so. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to copy this entire thing over to the opposite side over there. And then I think it's off of this block, we're going to build a redstone circuit around here. This redstone circuit will determine the timings that these pistons are pushed, along with when the, the TNT duper drops some TNT. So let's get the opposite side, the opposite cobblestone generators in place, and we're going to get the initial redstone circuit in place as well, so that we can get the TNT duper done. And I think what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to run this until we fill up this eventual storage system we're going to create, because yeah, that probably won't take long. It'll probably take like an hour to do that with the way this thing is going. So yeah, let's get a move on with it. Alright, so the redstone clock is now in place. It is fairly simple, so let's work our way through this. So we've got the power right here, so this is how we're going to turn the whole farm on. Activates this piston, which will then allow the clock itself to run. Because also, whilst this is extended, a signal will be sent through here and through the circular clock, and it will continue to run through that, and every time it runs through, it will push out the stone from the generators on either side, and we'll also be sending a signal down here into a central line that will staircase up and into the TNT duper. Now the way we're doing the TNT duper is basically we're going to have the TNT duper dispense TNT first, and then it's going to fall on top of fence gates. The fence gates are then going to hold it for a certain amount of time and then drop it, just so that when we dispense the TNT, or when we dupe the TNT I should say, it doesn't fall straight down into the central storage, because there's not really a need in that. Plus then we can build it fairly low to the farm. We don't have to build it like at an insane level like that one is over there in the old tree farm. And yeah, it saves us a little bit of material as well. So next steps, we're going to be putting in the system for duping the TNT, along with the redstone system for holding the TNT in place for a certain amount of time. After that's done, which shouldn't really take long, we'll have that done after the next clip, we'll be able to put in the lava for this farm, and then before we even test it, we're going to put the storage system in, so that when this thing is being tested, we've got somewhere to put all of this cobble, because it's going to produce a lot of cobble in a fairly quick amount of time, and we don't want lost fences lying around in the world causing lag. So let's get on with it, and this thing is going to be finished fairly quickly. Alright, so we've got the TNT duper in place, and as you can see by... oh, zombie, hello there. As you can see by the way the stone has extended out, we've been running this farm. So basically, as soon as I finished it, I wanted to do some testing, so I activated it by going to that lever over there where that scaffolding is, activating it, and basically being in the area for a little bit. And it produces as much as we thought it would. It produces about 120,000 cobblestone per hour. So this storage system is about 2 hours worth of AFK. Now I've already started ferrying some of it over to the bulk storage system over there. But yeah, we have a lot of cobble now. These 2 rows don't seem to fill up. That's because if we pop into spectator mode real quick, yeah, we're aligning stuff here and it isn't quite close enough to get into those hoppers. So what we're probably going to do is we're probably going to use these lines for bulk storage. So we'll probably go end busting again fairly soon, and then we'll fill this thing up with shulker boxes, these 2 lines, and every time we do an AFK session, we'll AFK for around an hour, fill up shulker boxes, and then continuously do that, and then in a fairly short amount of time we're going to have several million cobblestone installed here, which is quite nice. Now I want to put a skin on this thing, so similar to what I've done with the other buildings here, especially that old tree farm. So that extrusion out of the ground, that's where the collection area is, so I want to replicate that with this design here. But we do have the issue where I seem to have misplaced my shulker boxes full of concrete powder. They were over, I think they were over here originally. But I think what's happened is when we died from that sabotage, some rogue TNT came over here and destroyed our bookcases, and I think it may have also destroyed the shulker boxes which were holding all of those supplies. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go and get some more. So we're going to need to buy some concrete powder. Not some concrete powder, I think we may actually be able to buy some concrete powder. We need to buy some gravel, some sand, and we can make all of our own dye. And with that, this building is now done. Well, it isn't really much of a building, to be honest, when you think about it. Like, we've got a lot of space inside this thing to do stuff. So what we might do in the future is we might change out this storage system entirely and go with like a shulker box storage system. So we'll tear this out and then do that on the inside. But yeah, it fits with the theme of the rest of the base. Now, in terms of these other bits, I need to get rid of that wheat seed because that's filling up my inventory. I'm just going to leave them free floating. I'm not going to do any structural things to them because I just don't think there's a point. And then it will obstruct the farm. Like with the tree farm over there, it makes sense to put a building around that because it's just lots of moving redstone, so there's not really much to it. And I wanted you to still be able to see it, but not the whole thing. In terms of that tree farm, well, yeah, it's a lot bigger than that, and I felt like there wasn't really any point in putting a building around that. And because of the whole dimensions of this thing, doing a building or a skin around the whole thing is going to be quite pointless. But yeah, we have that stuff done. Also, you know how I said I thought the gravel stuff was destroyed? I actually put the gravel shulker in my ender chest. There just wasn't much in it, so I didn't actually go and buy anything, fortunately. And I went to the mining desert to go and collect some sand. So yeah, that is this project all done for today. But that's not all we're going to be doing today. We've got a few other things to do around the server, so let's go and get started on that stuff. So, we are currently in the end because some stuff has went down here. As you can see, the obsidian farm is a little bit worse for wear. Because basically what happened was, you know Sabotage, that game that we're running on the server? Well, let's just say this is the location of the death of Rustic Dragon. What happened was Boss decided to ignite some TNT and send it through the end portal, and it all came and sat here. But since no one was here, it was unloaded. So the TNT was just sitting there ignited and primed, but not doing anything. He then lured Rustic into the end because he quote unquote had a gift. Rustic came through the portal and died immediately. Unfortunately, the obsidian farm was destroyed in the process, but this is going to be fairly easy to fix. However, there is something quite funny about this. Rustic managed to get Boss back. So Rustic told me that he set up a little bit of a trap in the nether for Boss. So what happened was, Boss has portals all over his base. And what would happen is if you went through the portal from the nether side into the overworld, it would be fine. But if you came from the overworld into the nether, you wouldn't come to this central portal, you go to one that's below the bedrock. And if we go and look down this hole, we should be seeing signs of a trap. Oh. Okay. I can see a little bit of destruct. Oh my, wow. That is a lot of detonation stuff. Like, look, there is the remains of a portal right there. And you can tell that there's been detonations because of the way the Crimson Wood, the Crimson Forest has been destroyed. Wow. No wonder he died. That must have been a lot of TNT. Anyways, speaking of that stuff, let's go and get the obsidian farm repaired. So the farm has been repaired. I decided not to go with the pick replenishment system because I felt that was quite pointless, considering whenever anyone used this, they just brought their own stuff and never bothered with that system. So we completely ignored that there's some redstone there from it, but we're just going to leave that. So I made a few modifications or a few improvements to the overall design, and let's head on over there. So basically, before the water was free flowing all the time, and I've had a few complaints, like you could get through it just fine, but let's just say you might panic when you see that water there next to an obsidian platform over the void. So what we've done is when you're not using this thing, you should close these trapdoors, but when you're using it, open them and the water will flow through and you can start using it to your heart's content. Obviously that hole there is fine, it will regenerate the obsidian platform whenever an entity goes through the portal again. So yeah, let's close that over and this thing is ready to go. Obviously the chunk loading system on the opposite side will allow items to be spit through the portal still, and everything should be fine there. I am probably going to replace that chunk loading system with a different one soon because it isn't reliable. Well, it's not that it's not reliable, it's just I'm not a big fan of it. It takes a lot of tweaking in order to, you know, get it working. And if you haven't used it in a long time, let's just say I need to go back and watch the episode where I built it so that I understand how to use it. That's how bad it is. So we will be replacing that at some point in the near future. So we're in the nether over by my nether farming area because we're going to be breaking some bedrock. So I've been talking a little bit with Boss, who killed Rustic and then Rustic killed him. Basically, he's in need of some blaze rods, or he will be in the near future, and I'm going to be allowing him to use my farm for a fee. Now, getting to the farm is quite difficult considering the fact that the only way to access the underside, so the Wither Skeleton Farm and the Blaze Farm, you need to fly all the way through the nether. And up until this point I've been doing that, I haven't broke any bedrock yet. But that's about to change. So below this block, there is a piece of bedrock, and then below that, there is air. And it's accessible easily with a ladder. So we're going to break some bedrock here. Now, if you're curious about this whole process, I'm going to leave a link to a video Rustic did in the description. That video is surpassed 500,000 views right now, which is insane. Rustic has grown. He's half the size of my channel right now. He's going to be overtaking me quite soon. So make sure you go and watch that and leave him some love. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by placing blocks. Obsidian, like so. We're going to place a trap door right there. We're going to be placing a lever and some TNT, like so. So basically what happens is there's already going to be a piston here. We're going to activate this thing, which will activate the TNT, but there's going to be a slight delay between the activations because of the way, you know, update orders and all that stuff. So what will happen is the piston will extend into the block, it'll end up with a headless piston, and it will delete the bedrock below. Now I need to make sure, I need to go and double check how this piston layout is, and then we can actually break bedrock, which is quite nice. Alright, so let's get this started. I just had to verify by watching Rustic's video again, because I haven't done this in quite a while. So, as you can see, the bedrock currently exists right there. We're going to place a piston. Then what we're going to do is we're going to activate this, get in here, and then spam click. Okay, I don't know if that's good. Let's check. No. Right. So that can happen. This isn't a 100% guaranteed method, unfortunately, so you're going to need to continue doing this until this method works. I'm going to continue doing that, and hopefully we'll break through this thing. So after a bit of time, it might take you several attempts to do this. We should, or you should, have broken through bedrock. Awesome. Now what we can do is place ladders and make sure the Blaze Farm is perfectly accessible. Alright, so we're currently over at Boss's area. This is his storage room. I hope I'm not showing off any spoilers or anything like that. Hopefully I'm not. But yeah, I thought I'd let him know the exact coordinates for the access to the Blaze Farm. So I've left a little sign here. Blaze Farm, coordinates, nether roof from me. So yeah, we spoke about this recently, so he knows exactly what this is about. And yeah, that project is now done. But before we wrap up for today, I'd like to let you all know that the applications for the AutoCraft server are currently open. They're open all year, so if you're interested in joining a community of content creators, and if you are a content creator, why don't you go and fill out our application. As always, there's a link to that in the description, and I'll leave a link to it in the pinned comments. One thing I did forget to mention, this farm behind me was designed, you can't see me there, was designed by El Mango. I'll leave a link to that video, and I'm also going to leave a link to a tutorial by AutoCraft, which is fairly good, so if you want to follow along with this build, you can go and look at that tutorial. But yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, please let me know by leaving a like, leaving a lovely comment, and I'll make sure to reply to you as fast as I can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next episode. I'd like to thank you all for watching this episode of the AutoCraft so far. Make sure you go and watch everyone else on the server. On the left hand screen right now, there are two videos, one that YouTube wants you to watch and one that I think you should watch. Make sure you go and watch them, and remember to leave a like, subscribe, and hopefully you will enjoy the videos.